The defensive strategy of Bergoglio, by now discovered as an anti-pope, is proving to be increasingly clumsy these days. With studiously centered anticipations from his new book El Successor, TG1 Vaticanist Ignazio Ingrao himself admitted yesterday at a show anchored by Caterina Balivo that Pope Francis is trying to clear away every instrumentalization about his legitimacy. Let us say that he is not the best person to credibly deny these rumors. In fact, even La Nuova Bussola Quotidiana noted all the contradictory inaccuracies in Bergoglio's reconstruction. The Bergoglian tactic, however, takes advantage of the complete confiscation of the mainstream media. Suffices to say that our investigative book, Ratzinger Code, which has now reached 112 lectures in a year and a half upon the invitation of readers themselves, also winner of 2 journalistic prizes and sold 20,000 copies, cited in Corriere della Sera and Sole 24 Ore as among the most widely read books in Italy, is totally censored by the main newspapers and TV channels. Never was a sign more indicative. However, one should not believe a single word, Bergoglio says, first of all because he is not the Pope, and he has known this very well, at least since his election, as we have shown multiple times. We then saw how he is trying to discredit the Italian cardinals by accusing them of even using him in 2005 because they did not want a foreign pope. The goal here is obviously to intimidate the aforementioned cardinals who fully know about the impedency, also because they were officially informed by our petition with 14,500 signatures transposed on November the 20th by Secretary of State Parolin, and who, according to Article number 3 of Universi Dominici Gregis, can remove him just by saying "Vere Papa mortus est," which is to say, the legitimate Pope is dead. By the new tranche of advances from the book, shrewdly circulated yesterday, concerns Monsignor George Gaenswein, who is heavily attacked in reference to his volume, Nothing But the Truth. It caused me great pain, Bergoglio wrote, that on the day of the funeral a book was published. This turned me upside down, telling things that are not true. This is very sad. Of course, it does not affect me in the sense that it does not affect me, but it hurts me to see that Benedict was used. The book was published on the day of the funeral, and I experienced this fact as a lack of nobility and humanity. Well, this is the first lie. The book did not come out on the day of the Pope's funeral, January the 5th, on the 12th. Second, it is very difficult that such a book had not been approved in advance by Bergoglio himself. We recall how several days before the book's release, PDFs of the book had been strangely massively circulated on the web. The writer himself received copies from ordinary readers, and the fact was confirmed on January the 19th, 2023, on Marco Tosati's blog in an article by Mastro Tita that said, I have reliable information about the fact that the print file of the book Nothing But the Truth is swirling freely in the net, happy as a hummingbird, chats, telegram, groups, emails, etc. How come this circulation of the PDF that, in fact, blatantly goes against the interest of the author and the publisher? As it happens, in this book there is also a paragraph dedicated to the writer with a clumsy attention to discrediting him. Suffice it to say that it is claimed that Pope Benedict had kept the white robe because he thought he was going to die soon, that munus and ministerium are completely synonymous, which is totally disproved by the Constitution Pastor Bonus. Just remembered that Gaenswein is a canonist, and he knows it well. And also, it is claimed that Pope Benedict celebrated Mass in communion with Francis. This had been unequivocally denied by Gaenswein himself just a few months earlier on 2 separate occasions. Is it a coincidence that, as revealed by the Catholic newspaper Die Tagepost, Monsignor Gaenswein had attempted just days earlier to block the book's release? Our suspicion is that the volume, transposed in drafts by Bergoglio, was doctored by his entourage precisely to try to defend the anti-pope. It is legitimate to assume that the release of the PDF was intended to get a precise message across to journalists, and that Bishop Gaenswein, once he realized the tampering, attempted to block the volume's release. But the publisher, responding to higher will, proceeded anyway. What is certain is that the holy man, Archbishop Gaenswein, has been Pope Benedict's most faithful servant, and during his 9 years as the impeded pope, has transferred outwardly in a punctilious and disciplined manner his messages in broad mental restriction, identified by us and referred to by the easy-to-speak expression Ratzinger Code. It is clear that, for this reason, Bergoglio fears him and is trying now to mangle him media-wise. Thus, we recall one of Monsignor Gaenswein's most blatant services to the real Pope, the historic participation at the presentation of Pier Giorgio di Fredi's book at Lumsa. Greeting the audience, Archbishop Gaenswein said, "Pope Benedict first said to me, 'You don't do an institutional greeting, you do a personal greeting for me and say to everyone, I did not deserve this illustrious list of presenters.' I told them, 'Holy Father, if I say this, they do not believe me, however, I obey. Either believe or not believe. If you don't believe, read either Jeremiah or Isaiah.' I don't say which verse and which chapter, but there is the answer." It took us only a few seconds to Google it and to hit the jackpot and find the phrase in the book of the prophet, chapter 36, verse 5. So Jeremiah commanded Baruch, "I am impeded and cannot go in the temple of the Lord." The Holy Father Benedict, of whom we had been publicly stating for 2 years that he was an impeded see, chose from 73 different biblical books, the only one in which the expression "I'm impeded" appears. But the whole book of Jeremiah hinges on an impeded prophet. That is precisely how he is defined, clausus sum, since at the time of apostasy of the people of Israel, he had been thrown into a cistern and communicated with the outside world only through his secretary, Baruch. The other reference is to Isaiah, where the theme recurs of a prisoner again being set free and putting away his prosecutors. Why is Bishop Gaenswein still not speaking clearly? Going into logic of the Holy Father Benedict XVI, he probably received a mandate to continue to speak in restrictio mentalis so that it is God's people who understand and rise up. Well, everything is clear now. Anyone who has retained a bit of lucidity realizes that these days Bergoglio is pumping the mainstream to the max with this narrative. But it's too late now. A desperate swan song for the Gnostic Pope, who is now at great risk.